Hi, Greg. Good to see you. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Stella. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too. It's been a while. I appreciate
Mhm.
that you made time between your busy schedule today. I'm very honored being part of this Zoom call. I've been thinking about you quite frankly for a long time, and you are definitely standing out from a lot of coaches that I came across in San Diego in the past. One of the reasons why you are very collective and the way you send a message to your audience definitely grab their attention, and you relate to their life, everyday life, basically whatever they have in mind or they're experiencing day-to-day life. Having said that, I would like to ask you a couple questions for people that they don't know you or they're new in this platform. um, can you please give me some about your background, what you do, and what drive you to be a coach and what you used to do previously?
Mm, great. Well, thank you for reaching out to me, and I'm happy to be here. And I hope that there's something either you say or I say that might be helpful to people who are listening or who are in your community and in your fan base and all that. So just a little bit about me is I I've been coaching for 30 years now. When I first started, I thought I invented it because I was one of the very first people on the scene. I was one of the very first coaches in San Diego um, back in 19, at the end of 1993, 1994 is when I started. And nobody knew what coaching was back then. Everybody thought it had to do with sports or something like that. And coaching, I think, originated out of that in many respects. But a lot of the work in the beginning was going around and speaking at chamber of commerce and different groups and meetups and sharing and being an evangelist for this new thing called coaching, And I started off really just as a coach because in the beginning, coach was a very generalized term, kind of like medicine or doctors back in the day. And then as things fast forwarded, everybody has a niche. So, you have a foot specialist, a hand specialist, a respiratory specialist. So, once coaching started to kind of move and become more adaptive, people started to have niches. And then, today, every everybody's a coach. It's kind of everybody is a coach. There's dog coaches, cat coaches, kid coaches, how to dress coaches. And so in a lot of respects, the consumer or people out there, I think, have become suspicious
Mhm.
around coaching because it's such a low bar of entry. And a lot of people, I think, innately, I think human beings do want to make a difference and want to help people. And coaching has such a low barrier of entrance. A lot of people want to um, play with that. I think everybody does have the potential to coach and help people to given what they know. But when people try to help people outside of what they know, I think it becomes kind of a mess, you know.
Mhm.
So for me, my background prior to coaching was in commercial real estate, and I was relatively successful at a young age. And I just really discovered for myself I didn't have the stomach for the business because I I wasn't working on myself until I got into real estate, and then I started to work on myself, and that's what helped me become more successful. Is I saw that having um, a high state of mind or not bringing any baggage to the party of business was I learned early on that that wasn't helpful. And so I reached out and started to get help myself and learn about myself and raise my level of consciousness, raise my understanding. Really, I became fascinated about human beings tick. And so I became a voracious learner about that and learned a lot about myself. And what happened for me is I something woke up within me that I was so excited about what I was learning that I wanted to share it with other people, which is often the case of people who learn something, they often want to share it. And I was really surprised how few people were interested. Very few people were interested. Well, how come people aren't more interested? I was so excited. Um, I got a little bit discouraged at the time because I didn't realize why people weren't more interested in self-improvement and personal development and all these things. And but nonetheless, I was interested in it. And I listened to my own heart and followed my calling to pursue helping people. So I left a perfectly good career in commercial real estate. I call it jumping out of an airplane without a parachute because I hadn't even really discovered what's next. Coaching kind of unfolded for me in that journey of self-exploration. And then I started coaching. I hired some coaches and had some mentors, and I got trained. And kind of the rest is history. I did go through many metamorphoses in my coaching methodology and how I help people. In the very beginning, I worked with people kind of developmentally based. My early mentors had a saying that, people typically don't have what they want, not because there's anything wrong with them or they're broken or they need fixing. It's just simply that human beings are often underdeveloped. And if they were developed, or if they raise their development or their consciousness, they would find that what they're trying to accomplish and what they're striving for would be a lot easier for them. So in the beginning, I did a lot of work around helping people develop personal development, working on their personal foundation, life skills, and all of that. I did that for a very long time, and then I kind of got burnt out about doing that kind of work, and I continued to learn and had many teachers, and then I came across a new understanding of what is kind of a mystery to the average person, and the mystery is what I learned is that people don't know where their experience is coming from. They don't know where their experience is coming from, and because they don't know where their experience is coming from, their strategy for improving life is kind of outward. It's an outside in strategy. And so I started to share with business owners and leaders, and I work with a lot of people in the commercial real estate space, the mortgage space, general contractors, commercial contractors, and all that. And I started to share with them and teach them where their experience was coming from. Because a lot of times what happens is the business owners would often reach out to me, not because they're looking to be more successful, they're already successful, but there was a price that they were paying for their success that they thought was normal. And the price that they're paying, they thought, well, being stressed out and overwhelmed is the price you have to pay to be successful. That's a huge misunderstanding. And people don't realize that. And then they also reached out to me because the way they're compensating for a lot of that stress is in unhealthy behaviors. So they're going to strategies so they can feel better. And a lot of those strategies aren't very healthy or helpful. Okay. And they have implications. And then also they realized that although stress is the price they think they have to pay for success, it was also taking the toll on their relationship with their kids. Yep. And their significant other. And they were trying to figure out how to balance out home life and work life. And once they understood the secret behind human experiences, you could say that once the mystery was revealed, it really started to help them navigate personal relationships, business relationships, and their work. You could say all boats rise with the tide, so to speak. So all their life got better.
I can relate. I totally understand where you're coming from. I
Yeah.
had that test in my mouth in the previously career I had when I was in real estate and flip, and I had a flip show. It was a struggle to do that and maintain and being a parent and take care of the household and continue showing up and having different type of property as a site managed to. It was definitely overwhelming. So I understand where you're coming from, and I do remember at the time my daughter was pretty much give me a little bit of wake up call. She's like, I don't know if I'm gonna ever see you again because you're constantly at work. So, and that's where you going to get yourself, maybe I need to do something need to change. Maybe I need to do something different because it's imbalance. So I definitely
Hmm.
appreciate that you sharing, and I can relate. What is the most common ground you have with people that you coach as opposed to coming with being in balance through the work ethic and a lot of stress comes through, of course, when you have a big corporation. Um, can you give us some example?
Well, my job is to listen,
Mhm.
so I really want to get to know and understand the individual that I'm working with. Um, I have a saying though, they all have the same problem, and the problem is them. That's
Mhm.
it. They all have the same problem, and the problem is them. And what that means is they're getting in the way of what it is they're trying to create or what they're wanting to get done in the world. And they kind of laugh, but they self-admittedly know that it's true. You know, it's not that they need a better database management system or that there's nobody good to hire in the world or that they don't have enough time or they're overwhelmed or all of these things. Uh, when I work with the clients and it's to help them see that they're innocently in their own way. Okay. And how they innocently get in their own way is that they have a lot of thinking
Mhm.
that gets in the way, that puts the wheel blocks underneath their car innocently. And they wonder why they're having a hard time getting out of the driveway. Okay. Now, once they start to realize the fact that they're a thinker and they don't know much about the nature of thought and they may actually be misusing the gift of thought, they start to wake up to it and they go, "Oh my God, I had no idea of the implications of the quality and quantity of thought on the system." Okay. And once they start to see that, they realize that overwhelm is simply having too much thought on the system, and then it manifests in a person's body. Okay,
Mhm.
but that's really it. Other people, who are successful, will often come to me and they feel like their mojo is missing, and they have to change or jump career, do something different. Like I have a young man I was talking to recently. He's been doing something for 20 years. Not a young man, um, and it looks like see he's got a bad feeling for what he's doing, or
Mhm.
he doesn't have the same thinking he had when he first started. When people first start something, they have fresh thought, they have excited thought, they have their thoughts are what's possible here. Okay, the longer a person's in the business, they have a tendency to focus or anticipate problems, and they get in the habit of focusing on problems. Okay,
Oh my God, you're
and
so
that's what that habit of focusing on problems or negative thinking brings a person down,
mhm.
such that they're not very motivated. They know what to do. They know they should be doing certain things. They're not doing them, but they don't realize that they've contaminated their own mind innocently with a lot of unhelpful thought, a lot of extraneous thought. So my job is to help get them out from underneath all of that. And 9 times out of 10, their motivation comes right back. Their natural motivation comes back. Okay. And what was previously looked like something to get rid of, or, grass is greener somewhere else, they realized, oh, I just had, I had a narrative, or I had a lot of thinking that was preventing me from enjoying what I'm doing. Okay. Or staying engaged with what I'm doing. The more engaged a person is in what they're doing, the activity is generative. It juices a person. But what happens a lot of times with entrepreneurs and business people, they're checking things off the box. They're just doing things, and they're overwhelmed by all the things that have to be done, and they think checking them off is the strategy for life. And there's some merit to that. But what happens is when people get in the habit of checking things off, they innocently think being busy is a good thing, and having a busy mind is a good thing, which it's not. It's actually, what's counterintuitive is a quiet mind increases productivity, increases performance, okay, and increases fulfillment in what we're doing. So that's where I start with people, is helping them understand that their motivation or lack of productivity is often a function of, not often, always, a function of unhelpful thinking on the system. And that's it.
So it could be portion of it programming, as a young child, where we get in that type of information, that type of data, comes from, can be culture, it could be collective information, what we learn from our parents, or anything associated with that, or even simply school, because we're being taught that by being always busy, exactly what you said, is a good thing. It's being productive. And interesting enough, because I do hypnosis and I deal with people with different stage of consciousness, I came across one of my old clients, and he used to tell me that when he does meditate, he think about, I asked him to share meditation with me, how he does this meditation. And he said, my meditation oftentimes is I sit there and create my schedule for that day and the next day. And I was like, interesting. So you're not really just allowing being quiet in the mind at some point. You're creating more schedule. And he's like, it's not helping me.
So, that's really true. That's really true. Like the business world, is starting to a little bit have more respect for mindfulness and a quiet mind, and they see the merit. They're starting to see the merit in all of that. But I'd say the world at large doesn't have that much respect for a quiet mind. And they innocently think the more I can think, the more I can do, the more books I read, the more stuff that's going to be helpful. And it's really counterproductive. A really good example of what we're talking about here, what we have on the table, is Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein was known for throwing himself into a problem. Okay, throwing himself in fully and completely, fully engaged, and then he realized there was a time to step back from it all. And I believe he had a chair, and he would work on a problem, throw himself into it, and then he would walk away from it and he'd go to his chair. And you could call it a meditation chair, a quiet chair, a chair of beingness, whatever it is. But he would just sit there and give his mind a break. He'd give his mind a break, and not trying to solve anything, not trying to figure anything out, not trying to schedule, not trying to digest what he'd been doing, nothing. He would just give his mind a break. And you know what happened? In that space within himself, that mind that he gave a break, out of the blue, E equals MC squared shows up. It showed up out of the blue. out of the blue. And my understanding is that realization he had was beyond his intellectual understanding. And he had to surround himself with people that were way smarter than him to actually unpack what came to him out of the blue. And my understanding is, even as of today, very intelligent people are still unpacking that realization of E equals mc squared. Okay, so what he realized is that there's a yin and a yang of going about being successful at anything, whether it's sports, business, science, problem solving, is to throw ourselves into something, but then know when to come out and do nothing and not try to solve it, and be open to having our wisdom guide us, or something out of the blue come to us, because it has to come to us and through us. We can't grind away and figure it out. So, and that's one of the things I help clients shift, is to shift from trying to figure things out to getting quiet and having things come to them and through them.
And sometimes, whether it's a coaching or therapy, to me, they're similar, because it's all about listening and allowing the other person to express, and also helping them to get out their own ways. And the first thing I notice most people do, and they share too much information in the 10 second, pretty much saying their mind is everywhere and they're very busy. And with that said, you can see it's not really their fault. It's just the programming. It's what's being adapted to them proactively. And other thing I notice, when people are looking to overcome certain situation, or transform, whether it's a coaching, whether it's my current career as a therapist, is to unwind what they knew, not necessarily to throw everything out of the door, but basically reprogramming reprogramming their mind differently, in the sense of, whatever I thought is right is not about being right or wrong. Allow myself to listen to the new method, new understanding. That allow them to go forward, versus whatever they thought is, that is it, because then there's no beginning, no ending. Nothing's going to be unfold. Have you had situation in your career that what you try to do or assisting to your clientele didn't work for them, and you have to use a different strategy or different roadmap in order to get them where they need to get?
I don't have that experience these days. And I think because of the process in which I go, I'm slow to take on a client. And you could say, and sometimes I will fire a client. Okay? But I want to make sure that we're on the same page, you know, and that that my approach makes sense. Okay. So I let people know that there's nothing wrong with being strategic and strategic coaching and strategic planning for business, but there's pitfalls in that, because, you know, at the end of the day, it takes a human being to execute a strategy. Okay. And if somebody is stressed out or overwhelmed, how they approach that strategy is going to be half-hearted or resentful. So what's more important and more leveraged is, instead of working with people on, you know, like a bulletproof strategy, is to help them really look at more of an ontological approach. Is, who do they need to be in order to make that happen? Okay. Yeah. Who do they need to be, you know? So yeah, I don't know if that made sense or not.
No, it makes sense, perfectly sense. Thank you for sharing. Do you work with also young children or young teen?
Well, I have a teenager, so yeah, I have a full-time client here that lives with me, but I don't really, it's not, um, although I could, I'm not really drawn to that. I feel called to primarily helping men, working with men
Okay.
who are um, successful and business owners and business leaders um, who are both single or divorced or married and have kids, and they're just dealing with the whole ball of wax of life, so to speak. So that's who I work with most, and it's typically the guys that come to me. They're really driven, and they're driving themselves crazy because they're trying to strive to the next level. So they're all worked up, okay, and they want to get to the next level. They want to get to the
Yeah.
next level. So that's the one person that I work with, and I help them get settled down and create the proper runway to
Yeah.
take off in that direction. The other type of person that I draw or work with are people who are very successful, but they're disillusioned by their success because it was an outside in type of success. They've
Yeah.
got the cars, they've got the properties, they have the income status, they have a beautiful wife, maybe beautiful kids and school and cars, and they travel. But they scratch their head because their inner experience isn't lining up with the material success they have. Okay.
But what is
And
that?
they're really wondering about that. They're wondering why they're not happier and more fulfilled.
Exactly. I was ready to ask that. Sorry to cut you off. Yeah, what's the under barrier? They all had everything, but it's something inside that's still like unhappy, sad. That you feel they're not fully satisfied, but it's not a satisfaction enough.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Why is
what I mean the reason being is a human being will never find happiness or fulfillment out there. A person can only find what they're looking for if they look within. And so, for myself, like many people, I was searching all over, everywhere out there, reading books and this teacher and that teacher and this guru and that guru. And it wasn't until, and this has been a reoccurring message from several teachers. It's like, stop, Greg, you got to slow down and look within. There's where you'll find all the answers. There's where you will find your wisdom, your happiness, um, and all the understanding that you're looking for. And so that's what it's all about, is getting people to pause from the outward journey and looking for who they are, what they are, and the experiences that they desire out there.
mm-hmm.
The only place a person will discover who they are and what they are is if they look within. And the only place they'll discover happiness is if they look within. And the only place they'll really understand where their experience is coming from is if they look within. So the whole journey is really an inner journey, winning the inner game of business, winning at the inner game of life. Because these people that are attracted to me, they've won the outer game of life, but the prize sucks. There's no real prize.
Absolutely.
So I teach them about this, how to win the inner game of life and the inner game of business. And it has a profound impact on all areas of their life. Yeah.
I can get a piggyback from what you're sharing. And I used to live in Dubai for a short period of time. And I do remember because, the country and, excuse me, the country is made out of, everything but that inner world, like looking within and being happy. It's more exteriors. The high top is car, you can see that in the country, the clothes, the name, and you definitely live in different type of life, and it's a fast pace also, and a lot of European to move there. And I came across to notice that they have everything, and I asked them, are you happy with life? And people oftentimes they respond to me, they're like, I guess my happiness is my yacht and my car, and I guess so, and they drink it off versus of responding the heart center, what is really still missing.
Mhm.
I do appreciate you because what separate you, where you came from and what you're saying, because there's a lot of coaches and, San Diego. Um, and if anybody asks, what should I choose? You. And exactly what you said, you're mirroring people of what lack of motivation is this, what lack of attention is there, and you're showing it back to them. And your example, not by just sending a message to your client or try to sound good, projecting an image. And this is my experience personally with you. You're actually exercising in your own personal life. And that's why I have a lot of respect for you. So, just order a music with a drum sounds good from far away. You actually, within, have that. And exactly what you said about, you know, searching outside. You're allowing people searching inside. There's a lot of material is beautiful outside. And when you come across the people that you're working with day to day, and I experienced it when I was young, when I was living there, um, you feel like from outside it's so good, everything's so well put together, and that's exactly the image people that perceive in Facebook and Instagram. Everybody project the image, but we really don't know what is going behind the camera, how they live their life, what kind of happiness and joy they have, what kind of direction they're taking, who's really guiding them to make better improvement in their life. And
Mhm.
that's why you come across and helping the individual and myself too. So I definitely appreciate that about you.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
I mean it.
Well, thank you so much for your kind words. The last thing I will leave is anybody looking um, for a coach, I would say, or any coaches that would be listening, are your clients getting any happier?
Hmm.
That should be the question. Are your clients getting any happier, and are they more fulfilled, and are they more at peace than they were before they started with you? Um, and then secondly, do your clients know who they are, and do they know where their experience, their moment to moment experience is coming from? Okay. And if the coach doesn't know that and the client's not experiencing that, you may want to look for a new one.
Absolutely. Cheers to that. I really appreciate you. Before we end the session, I want to honor your time. Could you expand to us where we can find you and your website, your phone number?
Mhm. Yeah, great. Thank you for asking. Um, you can find me at Greg or gregclowminzer.com is my website. So it's
Mhm.
Greg, Greg, last name Clowminzer.com, and you can find me there.
Thank you. Appreciate you. And do you have anything for audience to for today, for this moment, to think about and keep it to their heart and exercise it as we're moving forward? Anything comes across?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, I'll speak for myself. What has helped me and how I try to live is to have less respect for my intellect and more respect for the intelligence that's moving the universe and moving me. Okay.
Wow.
So that's what I would leave people with is learn to that there's an intelligence that moves the universe that we're all part of, and get to know that, and have less respect for the intellect. The intellect makes a great servant but a horrible master. The universe is my master, and may you, the listeners, find your own master, and you'll find that if you look within.
Oh my God, that was definitely. That hit home for me as well. Thank you so much. Thank you
You're very
for
welcome.
expressing and your wisdom and your guidance. And again, I have a lot of respect for you and thank you for your
Oh,
time.
thank
And
you.
looking
Thank you.
forward to have more conversation with you in the near future. And looking forward to seeing you one of your, if you perhaps have another Zoom collectively for your client, I would love to be part of it as well. I just want to leave it one thing. For audience in here too, from my point of view, you would not have a regret if you work with Greg. He knows what he's doing for
No,
sure,
thank you.
and it
Thank
was
you.
settled. And when we had a hard time through the COVID, you brought a lot of people together. So I do
Mm,
appreciate that about you. And it was not just, I wanted people to not misunderstood when you said you're working only with male. It's not a
hmm
gender thing per se.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I can create a story. It's not that you work
Mm,
also with females too. In my experience at the time to the COVID, you help
yeah.
so many young parents, young teens to come to the sense of peace and not to be in the stage of boredom and losing motivation in life and find something with themselves again.
Great.
So yeah, thank
Thank
you for
you. Thank
that.
you.
Thank you so much for your time. Until the next
Beautiful.
time.
Great.
Have
Thank
a,
you, Shelley. Take
you're
care.
welcome. My pleasure. Good to see you.
Thanks.
Bye bye.
Bye.